Hello and welcome back to Witches of the Moon. I'm Eva Maria, your Monday hostess, and this week's topic will be incense. We're going to discuss some things that we do with incense or some things that can potentially be done with incense. We're going to talk about our preferred kind of incense and just, thoughts along the lines of or regarding incense, its role in our work, what it sort of does for us. Overall, I will say that I absolutely love incense. I am like an incense freak. I have many different kinds. I have a big chest up in my spare room, and it's full of just tons and tons of different kinds of incense. I'm an incense junkie. I'm going to tell you that right now. There's a lot of things that incense does. In particular, for me, the main thing that incense does, though, that I find that it's good for is for setting the mood for ritual or spell work or divination. I find that when I burn incense, generally speaking, it kind of clicks me into that sort of magical mindset. It helps me to get into that altered state of consciousness, and I really like that. It just really puts me into that headspace and emotional place that I look for when I am ready to get witchy. So that's the main thing that it kind of does for me. But there are other things that that I have utilized it for, that it can be utilized for. One of the main things I think that comes to mind when we often think of incense is we tend to think of it as, besides being something that can set the mood, one of the main things that comes to mind is that it can be used to, let's say, cleanse a space. Being passed through the space much in the same way as a smudge bundle, would be used. And some popular cleansing cleansing herbal preparations, for example, some herbs in incense that would be good for this sort of thing would be, for example, benzoin, frankincense, myrrh, copal. A lot of people, they'll get the white sage or the sage incense or the cedar. There's certain, or sometimes lemongrass. I'm trying to think what else comes to mind. These are not the only ones. These are just some that come to mind. Pine is very opening, very clearing. There's many, many different herbs or herbal preparations or scents that can be used for clearing a space, for cleansing in that way. These are just the ones that occur to me most readily. Also, incense can be used to cleanse objects. If you pass them through the smoke, you can cleanse them in that way as well. And again, the scents that I have mentioned, again, frankincense, myrrh, and or both, benzoin, copal, again, pine, or, some people use rosemary. I mean, again, sage, lemongrass. And then there's some, you can buy some that are like blends, like, I know they make Van oil. I think they make like a Van incense too, things like that. There are just, sky's the limit. There are so many different cleansing incenses that can be used for something like that. So that's another option. Incense can also, along the lines of what I said about setting a mood, incense can be burnt during activities like yoga, tai chi, meditation, to sort of calm, to be calming, to set that calm atmosphere. It kind of can set the practitioner or the person, who is meditating or doing the yoga or the tai chi or whatever it happens to be. It can kind of like help you to center, I guess. That kind of goes along with what I said about, though, burning it to sort of set a mood. So there's that. It can create a lot of atmosphere. It can really, I think, make you mindful of the present, because it's just so, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like it's so noticeable, I guess, is a way to put it. It's so present with you. It's so there, like you can't miss it. It kind of keeps you like sort of in the now, but it relaxes you. It kind of just really puts you in that good sort of headspace and emotional place. I don't know how else to say it. Incense can also be used to carry prayers to divinity. It can be burnt during prayer or worship to create a sanctified atmosphere that is conducive to communing with deity. It can be burnt as an offering in itself to spirits or to deity or what have you. Those are just some things that come readily to mind. I hope that I'm not rushing through this video too much or too quickly. Unfortunately, tonight I have a lot of things that I have to do. Tomorrow's a big day. I'm going to be going somewhere and I have to get everything ready before I go. So I'm just trying to move things right along, but please forgive me. I don't mean to be, just really brief, or I don't mean to gloss over things. I just have to kind of be like to the point. Like I can't be filming and editing this video all night. I really got a lot of things to do. That said, I'd like to speak about my preferred variety of incense. Everybody has like certain kinds that they like, be it like stick, cone, loose powder, or loose herbal, or Tibetan incense, or incense resin. There's so many different kinds of incense, and we all have certain ones that just we love. I will admit, stick incense is the most convenient for me, and that's what I tend to use more often just because it is so convenient. It is so simple. So I generally go with stick incense. Now, I will say though, I love Tibetan incense. If you have never used Tibetan incense, I recommend that you look it up, like go check it out somewhere, see if you can buy yourself some. It is awesome. Now, if you're familiar with stick incense, it's like a piece of wood that's rolled in incense. Tibetan incense is like, imagine if there was no wood stick in the middle, but it's a little bit thicker than the thickness of a conventional stick incense that we are so familiar with that has the wood stick. It's a little bit thicker than that, but it's all incense. And you basically just put it in a holder that has like a little recess that holds the stick up. It is in stick form, but it has such a more woody smell. I find it just to be so nice because it's just, you smell like the sandalwood if you're burning sandalwood, or you smell like the wood in it. It's just so rich, I find. I really love Tibetan incense. If you've never used Tibetan incense, I do recommend that you Google it, maybe buy yourself some to try. I think you'll like it. It's really cool, but make sure you get yourself something to, like, as a holder, because I made the mistake when I bought mine. I bought mine in Bermuda when I went in 2014, and I didn't buy a holder. So what I had to do is I had to take like a bar of soap and like a knife, and I made recesses. I made little indents that they could stand in that were just the right size, So that was a little different, but the bar of soap incense holder did work. It's just a pure stick, purely incense. So that is my preferred variety of incense. As for what I tend to use incense for, as I said before, I use it mostly to set the mood. But sometimes, let's say if I don't want to do a candle spell, a full-on candle spell, there are times when, if I don't have time, or if I just don't have the energy or whatever, I will use the incense stick instead of a candle, for example. I will charge the incense and I will burn it, and as the smoke goes up into, the atmosphere, it just carries my intention out into the world to be made so. Just as, a candle would burn, and as it, just dissipates, melts, evaporates, whatever, into the atmosphere, or just, it just burns out. That's the magic also going into the, the universe, out into the world. And I see using incense rather than a candle in much the same way. So, I hope that I haven't been too brief with this video. I hope I have spoken just enough on it that I've given you at least a decent introduction. Unfortunately, I really got to keep this video short, and I hope that you can forgive me. I'm one of those people that likes to go on and on and on and on and on at length, but unfortunately I'm going to have to kind of cut it short here. So I wish you blessed be and ashe. Have a very, very wonderful Monday, and until our next exchange, stay awesome check out the videos everyone else is going to do this week, because I bet you they're going to be pretty cool, because they always are. I mean, I have yet to see anybody do a video that I didn't like up until now. So check those out, and until our next exchange, bye bye for now.